In the first reading, the prophet Isaiah offers what I think is a very helpful analogy. He starts off that passage, "All you who are thirsty, come to the waters." It seems that his idea is he's trying to remind us that you and I have physical needs. We have to eat and we have to drink. But he's reminding us that we also have spiritual needs, and we need to, in a similar sort of way, nourish those spiritual needs. For some of you, this makes a lot of sense. You could think back over your time as a disciple of Jesus, and you can think of moments where you felt very nourished by the Lord, to use that analogy. Things were just going very well. You were able to live out your faith. You might also remember moments where that wasn't really the case, that you were in a bit of a dry area, so to speak. You were thirsty, you were hungry spiritually, and for whatever reason, had a hard time getting that satisfied. He goes on to make, I think, the best line here is he asks a very interesting question. Why spend your money for what is not bread? You would not go down to the grocery store and buy rocks and then take them home as if that was going to satisfy you. And indeed, I can tell you as a bachelor, it's also not a good idea to get out of the store and just come back with potato chips. It's the same sort of thing. Why would you spend your money in that way? Well, surely you go to the grocery store, you would spend your money on what you need, what's going to satisfy you. You would also know, I suspect, that our society gives us lots of ideas about what is going to satisfy us spiritually, if you will, our souls, so to speak. Society offers us all these examples, says, if you had enough money, if you had the right job, if you had the right relationship, all those sorts of things, if you looked a particular way, had the right clothes, had the right body shape, whatever, that is what would satisfy you. And again, I suspect many of you, in a good moment, could picture in your own mind times when you've tried those things. I mean, I did. I've shared with I think in homilies before, that time in my life where it was bicycling. I was an avid bicyclist. I rode pretty much everywhere. I rode my bike to work. I rode back from work. I rode on weekends. I watched bicycle racing. I learned lots of things about it. I trained. I did all sorts of things. And somewhere in the midst of all that, I think truthfully what was going on was I was looking for fulfillment. I was looking for this sense of accomplishment, this sense of a purpose in my life. But as you probably can imagine, and I certainly would be willing to admit, there is no life in bicycling. That is, life meaning the way the good Lord intends it. This idea that a fulfillment, a purposeful, a meaningful existence. The fulfillment. Some of you may have read the first chapter of that book, Search, we gave out at Christmas time. And it talks about this longing in us that we're looking for happiness, a meaning and a purpose in our lives. And I can tell you that bicycling, a wonderful sport, and very good for me in so many ways, but bicycling doesn't provide that. There is no life, if you will, in bicycling. I could offer you a second example, comes from Wednesday evening. I do not have cable in the rectory, and so I was a little behind on the news. I caught a piece of it on the radio as I was driving back for an emergency call. So I got on the computer and read a little bit about what was going on. And then, doing something I don't often do, I went on to social media because somehow I was very interested in what my friends were saying about what was going on. You must know that I have friends that span the whole gamut of political spectrum, philosophy, the whole bit. And it was very interesting just to look through the feed and just read all of what people were saying. What struck me the most was everybody was right. No matter where they were on their views, they had to be right. And so in order to be right, they were emphasizing some of the facts that were going on and just basically either ignoring or de-emphasizing other facts that were going on. That was the strategy that seemed to be used. Because if they did not de-emphasize or ignore some facts, then they might have to admit that, well, I'm not fully right here. But it seemed to be very important that everybody was right. Even the few, I clicked on and listened, read through some arguments, if you will, some back and forth. And it was just so interesting to me. They were talking about the exact same event, but they surely were not listening to each other. After about 15 minutes, I turned it off, and the thing that was in my mind at the end of 15 minutes was this passage from Isaiah. Why spend your money on what is not bread? I was suddenly struck by the fact that there was no life in anything that I had read. None. It seemed like those people, when they were writing all those comments, that they were thinking that they could find fulfillment in being right, or in finding fulfillment in convincing the other person that they were wrong, one or the other. But that just seemed like what was going on. There was not a single word about anyone's faith, and I have friends who are wonderful, faithful people. Not a word about faith. The only mention of God was an occasional reference to prayer, and that was almost something that seemed like it got tacked on. I spent Thursday then out on a bike, went for a long ride, but part of the nice thing about, for me right now, riding a bike is it gives me a chance to process things. And so I did a little inventory of my own life. What's going on in my life right now? And it's kind of like looking at the grocery basket, the cart as you leave the store. What's in it? Is this stuff really going to satisfy me? Is it what I need, or did I buy too many bags of chips this week? And I was riding along, I was doing this kind of inventory in my life, like what's going on? What am I, is there anything in my life that I'm putting time, energy, effort into that is not giving me life? Came up with a few. Fortunately, none that I thought were really bad, but certainly I have deleted an app off my phone that I realized it was nice, kind of fun, but no life in it, and it was eating up some time that needed to be spent in other things, so the app's gone. And that's my encouragement to you today. You need to give this some thought. The good Lord offers us purpose, meaning. It offers us this abundant life. All you who are thirsty, come to the waters. He offers it to us. It would be a shame, I guess, certainly a mistake, for us to say, oh, no. I know what you're offering me, but I'm going to stick with this other stuff that won't satisfy us.